Who am I? Well, I don't know many of you here, and you don't know me certainly. I'm a retired U.S. Marine Corps officer. I served for 20 years, 14 of it was here in the region. I'm a university professor at Hult. I have a small business, an SME, a consulting firm here. I run the Luxury Marketing Council, hence the two logos there. And I've been here 20 years in Dubai. So I'm where you are right now. I'm sitting in the audience watching this as an SME, trying to figure out how I can do better, faster, etc. So being a good husband, when Paul called and said, would you come speak? I said, absolutely, I'll do it. And then I ran home immediately and I asked my wife, what should I speak about? She said, speak about 5 minutes and then sit down. You know, you can't win with the wives, and I've stopped trying, so. But this Pecha Kucha system that Paul talked about, we have 20 slides in 20 seconds. Do the math, that's 6 minutes and 40 seconds. So I'm almost within my wife's 5 minutes. But it means that we go very quickly and leave more time for Q&A at the end. So if you'll fasten your seatbelts, we'll get started. Siobhan, thank you. Who are my business school graduates? Who graduated from business? What's ROI? What? What? Return on investment? No, we're SMEs. We'll get swamped by the big companies on return on investment. We need to look at it differently. We need to look at relevance, originality, intelligence. How do we make our product offering relevant to an audience that may want to go to the big guys, but you want them to come to you? We have to be original in what we do, and we have to do it intelligently. We have to figure out how to make our product offering in a VUCA world something that people want. The volatility, the uncertainty, the complexity, and the ambiguity of today is overwhelming. And if you get behind, if you fail to keep up, you'll just getting farther behind. And as SME Dubai said, 5 years, you're gone. Donald Rumsfeld, former Secretary of Defense, very famous quote, he talked about the known knowns, things we know, and the known unknowns, the things we know we don't know, and then the unknown unknowns, which are the ones that are getting us in trouble. So think about what are the unknown unknowns that we have to do to overcome in order to look at any crisis that comes down the road and overcome it. And the crises can be things that, obviously the natural disasters, but then the man-made, I have to say human-induced, that's more politically correct. Man-made disasters will get us in trouble just as we're trying to get off the ground. We talked about the fourth industrial revolution. We now have machines not only talking to each other to do the job, but they're teaching each other how to do it better. And so as they do that autonomously, very little human intervention, we miss out on the opportunity to plan it better so that we're able to take advantage of it. We're also in the third platform of technology. We went away from the mainframes where we had to go to the computer to distribute it through the internet, and now we're in cloud services, social media, you know, the big data and analytics. Why does it matter to us as SMEs? Because there are 4 zettabytes of information, data that's moving around us constantly. The financial services industry owns about a third of that, by the way. That's 4 billion trillion bytes of data. And so how do we get our message across? What language do we use for our customers that will apply to them out of all that data that's going around them? What appeals to one may not another. We have to adjust, adapt, and overcome, but why? Because this is our client these days. Pick British. Being British is about driving a German car wearing an Italian suit with a Korean-made mobile phone to an Irish pub for a Belgian beer, grabbing a curry or a kebab on the way home, sitting on a Swedish-made couch, that's IKEA, with your Brazilian wife, watching an American sitcom on an Arabic, with Arabic subtitles on a Japanese television set, looking for a job in Melbourne, and that could be Melbourne, Australia, or Melbourne, Florida, or wherever else there's a Melbourne. We have to use the right story with our customers to appeal to them, to attract them, and to get them to come to our SME rather than to somebody else. It's marketing 101. Put yourself in Korea in 1950. You're an American pilot getting ready to enter the Korean conflict, and you realize suddenly that the Russian-made airplanes and the North Korean and Chinese pilots are much better than you are. And yet, within 6 weeks, we established air battle space dominance. Why? Because they realized that the American planes had a bubble canopy on the airplanes, and the pilots were able to observe the air battle space much better than the MiG pilots were. So they were able to observe, to orient themselves against the enemy, make a decision, and act before the other guy could do the same. The faster your OODA loop, the more decisions you'll make in the same time that your adversary makes one, or the competition in the business world. If you're still in bed at 7:15 while the other guys have been up and working since 6 o'clock, you're behind. Your OODA loop is already behind. Somebody tell me who this man is. The bottom line should help you. Who is it? Buckminster Fuller. Thank you. My students told me it looked like me. So, Buckminster Fuller. Buckminster Fuller, after all of these adverse conditions in his life, and as he was awakening from his last attempt at suicide, said, "What can I as a person do to help mankind? What can one person do?" And he likened himself to a trim tab. The rudder moves the airplane. The trim tab helps move the rudder, makes it easier to do. And so he used it as a metaphor for leadership and personal empowerment. And he said, as an entrepreneur, you can't be what you can't see. If you can't see yourself doing an SME or CEO or whatever, you can't do it. We talk ourselves out of it. We defeat ourselves before we even begin. And so, what are the critical behaviors that we need in order to be successful? What is it? How do we develop those teams? How do we motivate? How do we speak to our clients? How do we do all these things? What critical behaviors do we need? And it's really fairly simple. It's not so easy to do. But we have to have the right people conversations. How do we speak to the clients? How do we talk to our employees? Personal empowerment of the people around us to get the maximum benefit out of them being there. They're not just there for the salary. Decision making, that OODA loop is faster than the competition, and you're able to stay ahead and shape the market. And finally, the fourth, and I lost my track there. Anyway, yeah. So collaboration. We've got to collaborate with like-minded people in order to do a better job of it. And so ask yourself, do I exhibit the critical behaviors? Am I able to speak to my clients the way I need to? Am I a trim tab who can use OODA loops more effectively in a VUCA environment in order to maximize ROI? What questions can I answer for you?